All right. So at any given point of time, when you're dealing with this sort of application credentials, you're going to get a ref, which looks like the credential ID and the credential secret, and you need to somehow also know the auth URL, the auth type. You can make it up, but uh, using that, if as long as you have the URL that you're supposed to hit, that's all you know. You can't really do a list operation, from what I understand. That's what you're telling me, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, yeah, this single user. So if you have the username and password of that single user, this Keystone user, that one could look into all the projects and list all the secrets and get them. But a single application credential, with a single application credential, you can only retrieve one secret from where we can.
So
So the
instead of
backend, the NetApp backend
Maurice,
will never see the username and password of the username, yes, but the password of the Keystone user.
Okay, makes sense.
so Maurice, you are saying that instead of restricting to the gate v1 secrets, we have to restrict to gate v1 secrets and specific secret ID.
Yes.
Yeah, basically you're creating, I mean, as many application credentials as you have, you know, these secrets, I suppose, or rather these
No,
shares.
no, we are creating application credential per share server for the NetApp
Mhm.
scenario.
Yeah.
So for the second share that is coming on the same share server, we are just fetching the application credentials from the Keystone and passing to the NetApp. That's the
Um,
reason it is restricted to the gate v1 secrets. But now, what you are suggesting is that instead of gate v1 secrets, we have to restrict it to the uh, getting
Specific secret.
specific secret. The yeah, that is possible because in NetApp, the share create API accept the server encryption key ref instead of the encryption key ref or the share encryption key ref.
You mean
So
you
the
would make it
encryption is
accept this thing? Yeah, makes sense. I had another question with this. What about the expiry of these application credentials? Are we going to set them as, indefinite?
that is something I haven't thought of, but maybe as long as the share is valid. What do you think, Sarvanan? Because once the share is encrypted, do we need application credentials?
Sorry, can you please repeat the question, Kiran?
So once the share is encrypted with
Yeah,
the help of encryption key, do we
yeah.
need application credentials thereafter?
There is a use case, right? Right now it is not there. Example, sometimes uh, what OnTap will do generally, like they'll try to fetch that key. They want to check whether key is alive or not. So for some reason, say OpenStack server not reachable. So then they assume that key is not alive. Key is not alive, and then when the key is not alive, right? And what they will do in OnTap, right? They'll restrict the access to the volume. So there are some features some customers are interested, and so it's kind of keep alive. Like they keep on checking every 1 hour. They keep on checking. So if you disable application credential, right, and they'll not be able to fetch that key. But anyway, that feature we are not planning now. But if you look at all other key providers, right, the third party, even Amazon key provider or Google key provider, right, so everyone offering this kind of feature. And maybe Barbican we are not planning now, but maybe in the next release, whenever we do, right, that comes, And if some customer interested, then we'll not be able to do that if you disable application credentials immediately.
And I mean, it wouldn't be about disabling the credential, but maybe I mean, it's from time to time you would want to rotate those. Let's say you have a data leak somehow,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
this is the reason why you even have that feature to rotate those things.
yeah. Okay.
But what happens if you do end up rotating them? How would
Uh,
you think of it from the Manila perspective?
Yeah, then we have to do one more share update API, and but if you rotate application credential, or you are rotating the key, there are two things, right? And
Yeah, no,
we are
the
not rotating
application
the key.
credential itself, not the key.
Yeah, then we have to inform OnTap. Then whenever we update application credential in OpenStack, then we have to fire one more share update API to OnTap, and we make sure this new application credential is stored in OnTap. And that's something we have to do, like a kind of cron, or whenever you rotate in OpenStack, Gautam. Yeah, that is possible. Maybe when we implement the feature, if you want to do this, and whenever you rotate the key in OpenStack, I mean not key, application credential, we'll just inform OnTap so that OnTap stores it.
Yeah, I would think that's
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking if it's even possible, but I would have to look into that because we would need an ACL for the new application credential.
Sorry, I didn't catch the last thing you said. You would need a what for the new application credential?
Yeah, we would need someone that would do this rotation. But yeah, we have the password. Manila has the password of the user,
Yeah,
of the Barbican user, so
and
it
so
can
does
do
the
it. Yeah,
exactly, and so does the
yeah.
admin. So it might even happen outside of Manila, and, and and because we have the username and the password, we don't really care about new credentials that are getting generated. But the old ones that we have generated, we've lost all the context because we've just finished creating the shares and we've forgotten about it. Um, but let's say the credentials are rotated, we'd have to have some way to let the backends know that those credentials have now been updated.
Yeah. And there's even another use case why we cannot let them immediately expire. Like think of when the hardware reboots, for instance, the extreme case, then it would need to go to Barbican again and ask for the key.
Hmm. And that should be fine, right? Because we are, I mean, let's say the credentials not rotated. I mean, OnTap already has these details, and there's some way OnTap is trying to store them, and we wouldn't know that until, like, you know. Uh, you mean when OnTap ends up storing them, but then the servers restarted somehow?
So I mean, it makes sense to have an
A way to update.
to let them live a bit longer. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I don't mean that we could have. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really mean to say, oh, let's not go for a TTL that's forever. But I meant that application credentials could be rotated. And so what happens when somebody does this outside of Manila? And the reason they would do that is legit, right? Technically, it's somehow it was printed on a piece of paper and it was lost. Uh, and and so you want to make sure your data is secured, so you would go ahead and do that anyway. And so how would Manila know, and what how would your shares be reconciled basically? It might be intentional, and you might have a schedule, or no, this is just you're just reacting to a data leak.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Can you add the point here, like mentioned in this document?
Sure, I can actually add it on your spec. Are we still using this Etherpad for anything?
No, the spec is fine.
Makes sense. And I think I had another trivial question, I think, with respect to the API schemas that I see on the spec. I can ask directly on the spec, or unless we have some time.
You can ask now,
Time.
like
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the key refs, the URL that's there in the key ref, this is coming directly
Barbican.
from Barbican, is it? Okay.
Yeah. This is like end user store their key with the help of Barbican secret as a payload. Barbican will return them the key ref or the secret ref, and this is something end user should use, because when they pass key ref in API call for share create, Manila doesn't do anything apart from granting ACL for that key ref. So if that key ref is invalid, which is what I have tested, you will get a Barbican error, and basically the ACL won't be granted. So basically the share creation itself will fail because there is possible error from the Barbican
I see. No, the reason I
service.
ask is in the key ref you have an IP address, right? And that comes from I mean, that's basically your auth, or rather your Barbican endpoint. And this is something that's typically configured in Manila.conf. We know where Barbican is, or we know where to find Barbican by talking to the app catalog on OpenStack, the service catalog on OpenStack. So I'm wondering how, what if somebody gives you a key ref that is invalid? How do you know, like, you're going to hit the Barbican API because you have the Barbican client that's already initialized when Manila is instantiated, and you're
Right.
actually planning to take this URL that's there from the user. How are you parsing this? You're just extracting that last, um,
No, no,
you know.
no. So when you talk with the Barbican to grant the ACL, it takes the whole secret ref,
Oh, okay.
uh, including the
Including
link. So you
the
link,
service catalog.
yeah, and you pass this to the Barbican. I haven't tried with using just UID, but there is the third way of share encryption where Manila will create key on behalf of end user. In this case, Manila uses the Castellan API, and then the Castellan API returns the UID instead of whole secret ref.
Hmm.
So once you have the UID, the next time when Manila talks with the Barbican to grant the ACL, it generates the whole actual secret ref from that UID. So basically, it takes the Barbican endpoint and concatenate this UID and pass this in ACL create API.
Yeah, I'm looking at that ACL create API on Barbican, and I see that it's like anything else. Like you're using a put operation on slash v1 slash secret slash uuid slash ACL. So technically, you don't need this entire URL coming from the end user, because it's possible that you're talking to Barbican on an internal API endpoint, uh, and all you need is a UUID.
Okay. I don't know, but the way I have written the pull request and tested, uh, as I said, like get the whole secret ref from the end user, and if the key is created from by the Manila, then generate the whole secret ref from the UID. At the end, in both cases, pass the whole secret ref for the ACL create API.
Yeah, my concern is that so you can put the API on an internal API and a public-facing API, and end users typically have the public-facing details to anything. And I, unless you handle this very nicely in the code, it's possible that you might be leaking the internal API to an end user, which is kind of useless to them. They can't typically access those, and they will have to parse out, or rather, I don't know whether that information is any useful at all because it's just something that Manila passes on to the backend. Um, or even backends need the public API. They don't really need the they can't really use the internal networks typically. So I think putting the entire URL in in these refs feels a little wonky to me, but it's something that you can test out and figure
Yeah,
out.
I'll test with just UID. If that works, then we are good.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, because even when you're providing uh, the application credential, no, no, you don't actually. So yeah, let's assume that OnTap is talking to Barbican. It needs to know its public endpoint already. There's something that, I mean, I suppose that's some sort of backend configuration that it'll have.
yeah,
Correct?
ideally, the NetApp should have this URL as a backend some kind of configuration instead of passing the whole secret ref in each API call.
Yeah.
Basically, in each call that Manila will have, discussion that Manila will have with the NetApp. So, Sarvanan, what I'm saying is that the Manila will give you the application credential ID and secret and the encryption key ref. The encryption
Yeah,
key ref in this case will be UID because ideally the
yeah,
encryption key ref is uh, Barbican endpoint concurrent with the secret UID. So this Barbican API endpoint, basically the public endpoint, is something
yeah.
you need to have somewhere defined or aware in your NetApp driver instead of having this information from the Manila. By this way,
Hmm.
the end user should, they can just pass the UID of secret while creating the share instead of passing the whole secret ref. This is what you're
So,
saying, Gautam, right?
Yeah, and I don't know whether it's something that the driver needs to provide to OnTap, or OnTap has some way that this is already pre-configured on it.
well,
Uh,
I,
actually, we have not planned anything pre-configured.
mhm.
So we thought everything will come from OpenStack at the time of share creation.
Okay.
Whatever data we want for our on tap, right? That's what our plan. Maybe I don't know. We would be
And
changing anything now. Yeah,
no, no, no,
yeah.
that
Good,
makes
good.
sense. So
Yeah,
technically, I mean, even if it's coming from, um, oops, uh, it's working for me, Carlos. If you're concerned about the screen share pausing.
Okay, yeah, sorry. It doesn't show it sharing for me, so that's
Okay.
good. Yeah.
So let's say, I mean, even if OnTap wants this detail, my concern is that we have different ways to acquire this to talk to Barbican, let's say, or any other OpenStack service on an OpenStack cloud. And we have these on different networks typically. So application to application, like service to service, Manila to Barbican, typically does not go through public networks. It would be through an internal API network um, in most production deployments. And the way this secret will look to that on an internal network is different from the way a public secret would look to an end user. And so if that is what you want, if ONTAP requires a URL to the full secret, it's something we can construct too. We would just be asking Keystone to give us the public endpoint, and you should be able to construct that URL, or even just get v1 secret will probably expose the public endpoint. Um, But asking the user to enter the entire thing seems a little wonky, especially when you're not using it. You're going to end up parsing it and grabbing the UUID and using that when you're making a request to Barbican. So it's something you can, you know,
Yeah,
test out
yeah, yeah.
and check out in your implementation.
Yeah, for usability, for user point of view, yeah, we'll make it simple. Yeah, rather than yeah feeding all the data here, right? Yeah, that's what you mean, right,
Yeah,
Gautam?
exactly.
And some more, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Even I wanted to create the overall workflow, how it looks like. Then definitely like wherever there is improvement we can do via code, we can definitely do Gautam. Okay. Right now, one tap also the implementation is in progress. So once it has come to some shape, right, and then definitely we can play around doing something with OpenStack and on tap.
Makes sense. And so when you say that, how is this code landing, and what is the timeline that you folks are shooting for?
Definitely. Okay. Maybe Kiran can confirm on OpenStack side. I mean the infra side. On driver side, uh, May month we have a release on tap. So maybe that time it will go. So maybe like we are targeting after epoxy only. Yeah, maybe 2 months after epoxy, right? And our code also should be ready end to end.
Okay.
And then there's ask to backport. I don't know how much we can do backporting and all. Yeah, but yeah, if Maurice or maybe other customers, if they want to backport, we have to think about that. Gautam.
See, all the implementation that I have done so far is
I think
tested on.
backporting it upstream is kind of like challenging, and um, yeah, if we look at it, it's an API feature, so we kind of can't. Um,
Mm,
yeah, that's a discussion. Like every
mm.
yeah, everyone should have about their like deployments and try to figure out if there are other ways to make this feature surface to customers. I know, like for SAP, it would be kind of easier because I mean there's the fork and so on, and other features. Like the features landing there. So yeah, but upstream it's kind of like we can't because of the policies that we have for backpart, and like this is like a full blown API feature, and like it's we kind of can't backpart it.
Okay. Kiran, you were telling something? Yeah. Thanks,
No,
Carlos.
what I'm
Understand.
yeah, what I'm saying is that whatever I have tested so far is just basically creation of secrets and passing these secrets and application credentials to the backend driver. So how this will end up with the actual encryption happening on the backend is something we'll be able to test only after NetApp has something ready.
Yeah.
So from OpenStack point of view as well, I think this will go after epoxy release.
Okay, makes sense.
Yep. Thank you. Any other thoughts to share? That was a very good discussion. Awesome. I believe we can take a break likely, and I'm not sure if you would like to add any other topics to this Etherpad, but if not, I believe we would have enough time to cover all of the topics today. And then yeah, we can like only have the regular Manila meeting upstream tomorrow because we've covered all of the topics today. Um, how do you feel about that? Are there any other topics that you would like to bring up other than what's in the Etherpad and other features or stuff that you would like to bring up today or tomorrow?
Hey, Carlos, the last topic on deprecation of the standalone Ganesha helper, did we need Ashley in that?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
I think she stepped away.
Yeah. See, so we can postpone that for tomorrow, and have like the week only the mid cycle during the upstream weekly meeting time slot, and then we can get done with that, and we can try to have like a live upstream Manila weekly meeting on Meetpad, and then we can talk about the regular stuff and also talk about deprecation of the or the removal of the NFS and the Ganesha helper. If that's okay, then we can do that. Otherwise, yeah, we can just have like the regular meetings tomorrow.
Yeah, either
But
works for me.
yes,
I don't mind us catching up again during the upstream meeting like this.
yeah. So I believe we can leave this topic for tomorrow then, and we can have kind of like a live upstream weekly meeting, video upstream weekly meeting tomorrow, which will be like the second day of the mid cycle. Um, yeah. Right. So there is one other topic for that I've added for today.
Sai had his hand up,
Yep.
Carlos.
Oh, sorry. Sir.
Yeah, hi Carlos. Actually, I wanted to discuss about the certificate-based authentication. So I have been
Oh, nice.
exploring on the uh, Cinder side, and I would need some time to discuss this. Oh, I want to discuss this next week. Actually, will that be possible? Because I'm exploring now only on this case.
Sorry, I only heard like half of what you said. Like you mentioned you were, I've lost you at,
Yeah,
you mentioned you are investigating it on the Cinder side. Would you also like some time to discuss this for
yeah.
this
Actually,
mid
I have
cycle?
a feature on certificate-based authentication.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's my feature, but I would need some time to explore, and I will need help in the coming week. So, will that be disturbing for you guys, or I'm actually exploring now?
No, don't worry. I mean, we can have if you think you need like the time for the extra week, we can have an ad hoc meeting next week, and then yeah, or if you need one extra week, then yeah, we can have an ad hoc meeting later if it fits you better, and
Great,
if that's okay with everyone too. But yeah,
great, great.
all
Thanks a
good for
lot.
me.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Uh, yeah, so Carlos, means I have also one feature I still not start working on because I'm working on some other things. So I will check that. That is the lift restriction on per HAPR. So I will start in 1 and 2 days, and let's see if I make good progress. So I can also means schedule the same meeting with Sai actually to get it review from you guys at high level.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Let's see. I'm not sure because I'm doing other thing also, some customer query and some browser related things. So I will try my best to uh, add that feature in this release. Yeah. So it's kind of tentative, not sure, but yeah, just want to update you guys.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So yes, both of them. So both the certificate-based authentication and the HA. You are targeting this for Epoxy, both of them.
Yeah, I'm trying my best to raise the patch for epoxy. I mean, it's end of this month.
Yeah. So we are kind of like past feature proposal freeze, which would mean that we would need exceptions for feature proposal freeze, and we are actually quite close to the feature freeze. Sorry, can't type. New laptop didn't sync the bookmarks yet. Sorry about that. So yes, the thing is, we kind of are past the feature proposal freeze deadline, which was a couple of weeks ago. But I mean,
Okay.
how big do you think, how big of a feature do you think it is, and how big of an impact do you think it is to the NetApp on tap driver.
Um, uh, so the changes mainly in the NetApp driver. I still need to explore actually. Means okay, which API on type API we need to use, but it's not too much too big feature. Uh, yeah, but so when will we have the this feature freeze? What is the date actually?
So the feature freeze is actually in 20 days. Yeah, which is kind of like tough, like yeah. So feature proposal freeze was 2 weeks ago,
2 weeks.
and yeah, we kind of like should have the features proposed to guys so that we could like start testing and see everything that's going on and try to account
Mhm,
for all of the features that we are going to review and merge during the cycle.
mhm.
Yeah, so it depends a lot on the situation. Like if you had like a feature like that's kind of close, ready, close to being ready and everything, I think that would be easier. But if like if it's a very big major feature, then it's a bit complicated because you only have like 20 days to make CI work and everything
Right.
and get all of the reviews to the changes. So that's why it's challenging.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, got it, Carlos. Yeah, I will see. I will do my best. Whatever I will see means how early I can raise the patch. If you think it's risky to merge that into the epoxy, we can leave that and we can merge in the next release early. That would be fine. Let's see if I'm able to work on that first.
Sure.
Few days I will. Yeah,
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for
yeah.
bringing it up.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
All right, so let's schedule a meeting for the next couple of weeks then about these two features, and then we can chat about them. But yeah, and please keep me updated. Um, right. So for today, we only had one other feature that I have added on behalf of Kiran. Sorry, but I think this didn't get a lot of attention throughout the cycle, and I think it's an important feature. It's a small patch in terms of lines of change proposed, but it goes in the same line as the other features that another feature that was implemented recently, which is previously we had share metadata updates being reflected on the shares. Now the idea is to reflect subnet metadata updates to the backend drivers as well. Is there a specific thing you would like to bring up for this feature, Kiran? Because I mean, we can use this as a review collab as well, and then we can try to get some attention to this change and get like people to share some feedback, and we can speed up the review of this change.
Uh, I think it's similar as that of the previous one, specifically targeted to have to fix the use case that we have, which is what I also mentioned on the pull request. Uh, yeah, and so just need a review and thoughts what other things. So basically this share metadata is something I have, it's kind of more frequently used and more what end user can have control on. So basically we have this driver updatable metadata config file option, etc. But in case of share subnet metadata, I am not considering any option. There is a very quite a less chances to use the share subnet metadata for doing something on the backend purpose, because we have at this stage we have only one use case. So accordingly I have made the pull request. So what I'd suggest, a request is basically to review and let me know your thoughts.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so I think that concludes our topics for today. Is there something else you guys would like to add? Or otherwise, we can wrap up this early and then we can meet only for the um, only during the Manila weekly meeting time slot tomorrow, if that's okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Kiran, this I think I reviewed this one passing metadata. So whatever you are suggesting that is applicable for the DHS true, because the DHS true case we have the shared network concept, right? So but in DHS false case we don't have that kind of shared network concept. So your changes whatever you are suggesting will work only for DHS true. So DHS false it will not work, right? I think I have provided my comment there in this patch.
Yeah.
Hmm. Because you are updating the share metadata based on the
And do we have DH false for tab?
hello, yeah.
We have DHS is false for the NetApp.
Sorry, can you just repeat? You are asking the question or you are telling,
No. You are
or
saying
your
that this
voice is
will work.
breaking?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Just tell me.
Yeah, you are saying that this is valid for the DHS true because it has a
Yes.
shared network subnet associated with it. So my
Hmm.
question is, do we have a DHS false share server for the NetApp?
Yeah, we have. DHS is false,
Okay,
we support, right? Yeah.
But
okay,
we support actually, so that is kind of pre-configured on the on tap
Hmm.
actually, which you use.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, we can. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. All right. So if there isn't anything else we would like to add, then I believe we can wrap this up and see each other tomorrow at the weekly meeting time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for joining. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you.